Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. The game I'm going to share today with you guys and trying to analyze my fifth round game uh, uh, from 2020 Islamabad Open Chess Championship. It was my fifth round game against Khalil Rehman Saab. It was one of my three big victories in 2020. Um, After beating GM Mikhail Mazarov, like I shared in the previous video, and beating uh, Pakistan champion Mahmoud Lodi. So this game was played between me and a national master and many time Olympiad but Khalil Rehman Saab from Lahore. Uh, Before this game, uh, I won four consecutive matches in the tournament. So I was standing at 4 points, while Wahab Ahmed from Quetta was also uh, at 4 points out of four. Um, Shahid Hussain from Quetta, uh, nowadays living in Islamabad, was also 4 out of 4, and Butt Saab was 3.5 out of 4. So I was expecting that my next pairing will be with Wahab Ahmed, and we were discussing as we went together and we were friends. So we were discussing that we are going to be paired in the fifth round. uh, Meanwhile, we went to a nearby restaurant with Shahid Hussain, but Khalil Rahman, Wahab, Yunus, me, and Mahmood, and other, uh, and we took tea with jalebi there, and we were fine and enjoying our time. Meanwhile, while we were in the cafe, uh, we got the pairing, and the pairing was that I was paired with But Khalil Rahman on board 2, while Wahab Ahmed was paired with Shahid Hussain Saab, National Master Shahid Hussain. So when the match started, I actually played But Khalil Rahman previously in Punjab Chess Championship in March 2020, and it was a very disheartening defeat for me. Actually, in that game, I was playing white and he played King Indian defense, uh, in which mm, uh, he went into my preparation and I got a very dominating position. Then I slipped all the advantage and lost the game. So for this tournament, I specifically prepared King Indian defense, and as well as I prepared for c4 English opening, as well as which he plays usually, as well as some Larson and other stuff. The game started with Butsa playing c4. I replied with knight f6, he replied with knight f3, and I went into symmetrical English. His response was g3. I played knight c6, bishop g2, and e6, castle, and I played d5. The purpose of this setup is actually uh, uh, to convert or to transpose the opening from English into something like d4 lines. It will be specifically Tarash defense. So if he takes, I took, and d4. So now we are in the Tarash defense, which is actually a d4 opening. So instead of playing something against c4, I transpose the middle game to Tarash, and I had some specific preparation in this line. Uh, so my response was bishop e6, bishop e7 is also playable, but rather a more accurate move order. but it usually transpose, so not a big deal. Uh, he played knight c3. I played bishop e7, and in this, I played this position many times, almost 3 times, with the national master and one of the best played in Pakistan against Sibti Ali, and my score was 2.5 against him in this line. So I was very confident about my preparation. There are many sedalities in this line, so without preparation it will be rather very difficult to play. But I know he's a long-term C4 player, and he's a very experienced and 2100 rated player, so he must have something new for me. And in the next move, he surprised me. Instead of going to the main line with bishop g7, like bishop g7, bishop f4, or something like uh, e3, b3, he went for h3. This was a very surprising move for me, and I never saw this move before. It was a rather rather a surprise for me. So I went into a deep thinking here, and I was trying to understand his plan. The plan of this move, h3, is not just to stop this bishop move to g4. That's I already have developed my bishop to e6, so I was threatening this move. So the plan was that Batsab is creating a square for his king, and after king h2, maybe knight e5, he's planning f4. So this e5 square will be a very good square for that knight, and he will be having a kingside attack. Uh, so I decided to play castle here. He went as per his plan, and I stopped the any bishop g5 stuff right away. So but has the f5 g5 and f4 square is now not that cute for the bishop, so he developed bishop to e3, and now as he's threatening to take my c5 pawn, so I pushed the pawn, rather releasing the tension, but actually it was part of my preparation. Not specifically in this setup with king on h2, but I was planning to play c4 and create my queenside majority. Here, Batsa played knight to e5. Uh, I played rook c8, and he replied with as per his plan with f4. And here I was very much worried. Uh, I was not happy with the outcome right now. So there are too many pieces, especially too many bishops for me in this position, and I have lack of space. So I rather played an accurate move for bishop d6, and he replied with the queen uh, to d2. Uh, Again, I was having uh, some problem to deal with this position. Actually, I was worried for any upcoming, any future, my any future uh, f3, f5, and then there may be any sacrifice coming, and with the knight at uh, e5, this sacrifice will be quite dangerous for me. So to stop all such businesses, I went for king h7, and he replied with a calm. But Saab is a very calm player, so he never rush or never try to um, attack you right from the beginning. So he played a calm move for rook a2, d1. So now I got a chance to exchange at least one of my bishop um, with his knight, because uh, the position, I have a lack of space in the position, so I was rather trying to get rid of one of my monarch pieces. So he played uh, a3, and I took the knight instead of taking immediately. But Sab played queen c2 check. But as per my assessment, this is rather encouraging, improving my position, encouraging me to play. I was planning to play uh, g6 and then bishop f5. So I was happy to play this move. Now he took the knight. I played bishop f5. He played bishop uh, f3. His intention is to play g4, so I try to stop this move right now, and I was thinking that the g4 might not be possible here, because let's see, if we play g4, I will take, he will take, rather taking the pawn immediately, I will take his knight. He has to take my knight, then I will take the pawn, uh, uh, maybe with the knight in a check, and if he takes back, then I have this q check, and he has to move and I will win a piece. And I was thinking that if I take with the bishop, suppose, and he takes the bishop, then I have this dangerous check, and after this I might be able to take with the knight or queen. So I thought that g4 is not possible, but actually g4 is a very strong move. Uh, let's see again. Uh, After g4, I take, he takes, I take the knight, and he take with the f pawn, rather more accurate. And if I uh, take with the bishop, he take with the bishop. Uh, he instead of taking with the bishop, he has this cute move, king g3, and now my king is exposed. And if I take with the knight, then I take this bishop, then he has this check, then he will take with the queen, and the position is although equalish, but dangerous for the black. My king is more exposed, uh, but fortunately he didn't play this. So let me show the move on over the board. If g4, I takes, he takes, and I take the knight, he take with the f pawn, and if I take with the knight with a check, he has this very cute move, king g3, and if I take the bishop, he has this intermezzo check, and after king f7, g7 he has queen takes knight, and rather a very dangerous position for black. There is no advantage for the black. So fortunately he missed this king g3 idea, and he didn't play g4. Rather he moved the bishop to c1, and I played b5 to have my a5 move going with b4 and a queen side pawn storm. Uh, he moved the rook to g1. I moved the king uh, to g7 to protect my f7 pawn, get rid of any check on the h file, and have my rook to h7. In this position, he moved the king to e2, d2, and now I move the rook to h8. Here, uh, Batsa played king to uh, g2, and now I have a chance to exchange this uh, knight with his active bishop, and now again my bishop is a monster, and the position is very advantageous for black, and I was rather very happy to have this position. Now I pushed my uh, f pawn to f6, and asked him rather to take my knight or to move back. There is nothing for him to after taking the knight, so he moved the knight to f3. I moved the queen to d2, uh, maybe threatening some bishop f5 ideas, which he immediately stopped knight to h4. The game is very complex, and I hope I can convey all the subtleties of the positions, but it will be rather very difficult. So I moved knight to e7. He here uh, uh, he moved to the rook to f1, knight to f5, and there is nothing for him after taking the knight. So I will get a open file e file as well as a attack on h3 pawn. So he rather move the queen to c3, and I move my rook uh, from c8 to e8 to have access to the semi-open file. Uh, he defended the pawn with the rook f2. I uh, I was planning to double my rooks on the e file and have some target uh, in this file. Uh, so in this position, he rather went for an inaccurate move, e3, and now it's a permanent target for me. So in this position, uh, uh, I moved my knight to d6, and my plan was uh, to exchange the knight with my bishop, or to have access to e4 square. So white is rather playing without any particular plan, waiting for maybe any mistake. Uh, so I moved the bishop to f5. He took, I took, and now he protected the pawn this way. So He moved the rook to e2, trying to protect the e3 pawn, but actually it is not protected. I can simply take the pawn with my knight, and if he takes, his rook is hanging. Uh, but I don't know how I missed that. Uh, and instead of taking the pawn right away, I moved my h rook to e1, e is 8, and now he saw the tactic and he tried to protect the pawn with another protector, queen. Uh, and now if I take the pawn, he will take with the queen. So I played queen e6, trying to enter the position via queen e4 and then queen f3. So here he went for g4, maybe rather very late. So I was not expecting this move because giving me another open file apart from the e file and open h file where his king is very vulnerable. So I just took the pawn, and he's not going to take with the h pawn because this open file will be very troublesome and my queen is coming to e4. So he took with the rook, and I go back came back to h8, and now I have domination all over the board. Over the queen side my pawns are extended and maybe moving anytime after the exchange of queens. I have semi-open files H and E, so he tried to counter this with rook uh, E2 G2, and in this position my he's threatening my uh, G3 pawn, G6 pawn. So I protected this with knight h4, protecting my pawn as well as threatening uh, attacking his rook on g2. So he played rook g3, and now I have another protector in this line as well as a big attack on his king, and there are so many tactical shots here. I can play knight uh, uh, f3 check, and he has to go to um, some discoveries. I can play knight to rather not here, but I have an my rook is attacking his h file. My knight is going to f3. So he was so much worried about the upcoming threats. So he moved to the king to g1, but here I can take the I can forcefully take the exchange with f5. Now, if he goes to the rook goes to g5, then I have this check. Then he has to take this way where my rook is entering. My queen has already entered the position, or he has this is the only way to uh, protect. Otherwise, if he move the queen king, I will take the uh, rook at g5. So in this position he decided to give me the exchange this way, and I took with the rook, and now the queen to d2, and I calmly played king f6, trying to build more pressure on h file. So he offered me a queen exchange as well as taking my uh, g6 pawn. So I gladly accepted the offer, and instead of going to h file, I just planned to push my g pawn and get access to his king. Stop this push with rook g5. So I just offered rook exchange. He denied. I moved the pawn to g5. He tried to activate his bishop, but it is rather quite late for him. So now I was trying to get access to the open d file. So I moved my rook back to h7, and he tried a last tactical shot with the bishop a5. So now if I move the rook to e7, then he has this pin. So instead of going to this going for this trick, I just move my king to g6, and after bishop d8 I played rook h8, bishop back to c7, and now I played king h5, getting entry of the king via the h file, and after bishop to e5 I played rook g8 check, and after rook f5 I played king to h4, and king h4 is winning in this position. Even a5 is winning, a5 b4, and the position is hopeless, so he resigned. So it was one of the my one of a biggest victory for me in this year, and uh, in the fifth round, after the fifth round, I won on board two, while Shahid Hussain beat it Wahab Ahmed with a very nice Sicilian net Jorf game, and we got paired, me and Shahid Hussain, in the sixth round, and it was a very interesting game as well. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and ask any question in the comment section below. Thank you so much.